the right to speak free of governmental coercion. I believe in it, of course. I've always defended it. Criticism of bad speech is, in fact, just a form of free speech. Cancellation also has a definition: the banning of particular people, including people like Nick Fuentes, from platforms like X or Facebook. I believe that Nick Fuentes is odious and despicable, but I've never called for his cancellation. And in fact, I've called for his restoration to those services, despite the fact that I think he's odious and despicable. It is not cancellation to draw moral lines between viewpoints. In fact, we used to call that one of the key aspects of conservatism. It is not cancellation to refuse to signal boost Hitler's supporters like Nick Fuentes. It is not cancellation to criticize Tucker Carlson for rhetorically fluffing Nick Fuentes and other anti-American crackpots. It's not cancellation if you urge others to stop promoting those who rhetorically fluff Nazi apologists. Those are all elements of free speech. And anyone who says differently is lying to you, and lying for the most cynical reasons, to misdirect from their own defense of those Nazi apologists and their promoters. The issue here isn't that Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on his show last week. He has every right to do that, of course. The issue here is that Tucker Carlson decided to normalize and fluff Nick Fuentes, and that the Heritage Foundation then decided to robustly defend that performance. Those who criticize both Tucker and Heritage aren't canceling. They are quite properly drawing a moral line.
Join ICE with bonuses up to $50,000 and generous benefits. Join.ice.gov.
Local news, weather, and the alerts you choose. No paywall, no subscription fee, just
So, for those who don't understand what's going on, let's begin with Nick Fuentes. Now, as I mentioned, last week, Tucker Carlson had on Nick Fuentes. Fuentes is a 27-year-old man who's dubbed himself the leader of a movement called the Groypers. He has a large audience of alienated young white men in particular, and he's earned increased media attention over the course of the past few years, especially over the last year. Now, from Tucker Carlson's interview, you might have gathered that Fuentes has some borderline views on race, a peculiar obsession with what he calls organized Jewry, and a rather sad relationship with the female sex. But probably you came away thinking that, for the most part, Fuentes lives on the radical edge of normality. You think that if you watch the interview, because Tucker Carlson decided that it was important not only to host Fuentes, but to smooth over his views, water them down, and make them far more palatable to a normal audience. As we'll discuss in a bit, this is what Tucker Carlson does for a living. But back to Nick Fuentes. To understand just what Tucker did here, we must actually examine what Nick Fuentes says on his show, and has said for almost a decade, because he was asked precisely 0 questions about any of what you're about to see by Tucker Carlson. Nick Fuentes says women want to be raped.
Okay, guys, so before we see, I guess he's about to show clips of Nick Fuentes. Tucker, I was about to say Tucker's confusing me, but as I thought in my head, I said he's more of a snake, right? So you can see that a lot of the things he's saying, at least for me, makes sense, right? You wouldn't want to support somebody who's against blacks. You wouldn't want to support somebody who's against women. You wouldn't. Ben is saying he's not for cancel culture, right? So Ben is saying he wants open debate. Ben is saying that he's not calling, because Nick has been banned from a lot of platforms. Ben is saying publicly that he's not calling for Nick to be banned, that he wants people who have these opinions to be able to spread them. But from my knowledge of Ben, and I may not know as much about him as you, the viewers, so let me know in the comments, guys, what you know about him. From my knowledge of Ben, I would say that he's one of the people behind the scenes who is putting the pressure on these platforms to not allow people to speak up if they have something to say that's like anti-Jewish, or if it's anti some group that he likes. So on the one hand, he's putting forth a strong statement that he's open to everything. But I believe, just from what I think I'm about to see, I think basically what Nick has done to him is, what Nick is saying is upsetting him. So he's trying to respond. And I believe that since he feels that way behind closed doors, other people in the establishment, on both the left and the right, people who are big donor backers, politicians, people who own big companies, the TikToks, the Instagrams, etc. I believe that these people don't like the anti-Jewish rhetoric, and I believe that they're trying to suppress it. And I believe, because of social media and the fact that they weren't paying attention, I believe that they lost the youth, and people were able to see, a lot of young people were able to get their hands on the vast amount of ideas out there. So I think young people know that there's many different views, and all we're doing now is kind of shifting through them, trying to see, well, what we believe and who we want to support. Do we want to support Israel? Do we want to support Hamas? Do we want to support the Democrats? Do we want to support the Republicans? We're learning who receives the tax benefits and why, who receives the welfare and why. I think we're open to learning what's going on and trying to find a solution for ourselves and others. And I believe these establishment people are just trying to keep the status quo. They have already got enriched from the ever-ending wars. They have already gotten rich from the healthcare premiums and the various ways that they already make money. So I think they have no incentive to help the American people. I think they just want to continue feeding their pockets. So not saying, guys, that I think that Nick Fuentes is for all people, but I do believe that he represents people being able to speak their mind, even though I disagree with him. I would not want my show canceled off YouTube. I would not want my tweets suppressed. I would not want to be kicked off TikTok if I start talking about white people, if I start talking about gay people, etc. If you like this video, please smash the like button, comment, and subscribe. New shows airing Monday through Thursday.